If stress isn't treated, it stops you from living a life you love. But there's an ancient personality test that prevents that from happening.
You mean I'll stop feeling so burnt out?
Yep. In fact, following these 4 steps is the key to using your Enneagram type to become a better and less stressed out version of you. But if you don't even know what your personality type is, this process is gonna be a lot harder, which is where the Enneagram comes in. I'm here! Unlike other personality tests, the Enneagram doesn't categorize you based on your behaviors. Instead, it looks at why you do the things that you do. For example, my sister and I both went to a 4-year university, but our reason for going was very different. My sister wanted to fulfill the requirements needed to get a good job. She's an Enneagram type 6. Her core desire is to have security. I wanted to make my parents proud of all my amazing talents and accomplishments. I am an Enneagram type 3, and my core desire is to be successful. But if these 2 examples don't match up with your root motivations, have no fear. There are actually 9 different Enneagram types, all with a unique core: fear, desire, longing, and weakness. To help you find your Enneagram type, there's a free guide linked in the description just for you.
So I'm cured?
Are you still exhausted, overwhelmed, and beating yourself up inside for not knowing how to fix it?
Yeah.
Then you need step number 2, which is best explained as a road trip. Let's say you're heading up the coast to San Francisco, but you're getting a little tired. You know, your eyes are drooping, your brain's a little fuzzy. That's when you feel the bump, 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 bump of those lines on the freeway, and then you yank your car back into the lane. The Enneagram actually has its own version of those bumps. It's called your stress path. I don't know about you, but when I was a 20-something working odd jobs and dating terrible people, I was in survival mode. My personality looked drastically different than it does now as a happily married 30-something doing a job I love. Because our personalities aren't set in stone. Your type looks different when you're super stressed out versus when you're grooving along and feeling your best. For example, if you're an Enneagram 1 and nobody is pulling their weight on a work project, you might slip towards your stress path. This looks like pulling from the lower levels of health from the Enneagram type 4, which ones are connected to on the Enneagram symbol. You're not becoming a type 4, but you are taking on their more unhealthy qualities. You might feel resentful that other people aren't living up to your internal standards, so you slip into melancholy and passive aggressiveness just starts seeping out of you in the office. No, I'll just do it because I'm probably gonna have to redo it because you're gonna do it wrong, then I'm gonna end up doing it myself anyway. The problem is, burnout is not always a giant car crash going up in flames. Instead, it's a slow and steady drifting where you don't quite realize just how off course you're getting. But if you take one thing from this video, it's that you're not alone. Burnout is at an all-time high because it's harder and harder to spot. Once you can identify the warning signs for your Enneagram type, you can course correct before everything gets too catastrophic. Which is what I wish I had done earlier this year when just the idea of filming a YouTube video filled me with existential dread. Along with caring for my family, creating videos for this channel, and working a full-time job, my life was starting to feel like an endless to-do list. Even when I checked something off, I didn't get any satisfaction from it. If you're watching this video, chances are you've felt that kind of exhaustion too. Maybe it's because we've all internalized the words of the great philosopher Kelly Clarkson, who sang, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." But that's where we messed up, because it turns out what doesn't kill you actually just burns you out. That's what scientists Emily and Amelia Nagoski discovered in their book, Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. They found strong evidence that people who do this next step are actually more productive than if you just force yourself to keep pushing. I found this out firsthand when I quit YouTube for a month. I spent my free time playing video games with my husband, walking my dog Lemon, and going on hikes. The result? I went from wanting to quit YouTube forever to having tons of new ideas and a lot of excitement to create again. Who's gonna call Kelly Clarkson and tell her to change the lyrics to her song? Because it turns out what makes us stronger is rest. If you don't, your body will eventually force you to stop, probably through illness or a little mentee bee. But that doesn't mean you just need to sleep more. Although don't get me wrong, sleep is obviously so important. In this book, the key to fighting burnout is with active rest. This is really helpful for Enneagram types who find it difficult to slow down. Some ideas are 30 minutes of stress-reducing conversation with a loved one, making and eating a delicious meal, or do an activity that uses different brain muscles than usual, like writing a fantasy novel or playing with children. But nothing is more effective at preventing burnout than this next step. Imagine you're being chased by a bear that could kill you with one swipe of his paw. But then you reach safety. You stop running, you catch your breath. This is the embodiment of the stress cycle. The stressor is the bear, you fight it by running, and then you complete the cycle by celebrating that you're alive. The problem is, we're not getting chased by predators on a daily basis. Okay, so that's not actually a terrible problem because I'm sure you're not a fan of being chased by scary animals. However, in the world of burnout, it actually sucks. Because now our stressors look a lot more innocent, like an inbox full of emails or a passive-aggressive phone call from your mom. But the craziest thing is, and this blows my mind every time I think about it, our bodies can't tell the difference between being chased by a bear and having a difficult conversation with your partner about who is doing the dishes. This is why the most important step in preventing burnout is completing the cycle in a way your body understands. And turns out, your body only speaks one language. In the words of Ursula, body language. Even if the stressor is a messy kitchen and not a bloodthirsty shark, you have to do step number 4 if you want to prevent burnout. Move your body. It's the most efficient strategy for telling your body that you've escaped that stressor. But you don't have to just go for a run if you hate running. Find a movement that brings you joy. For example, I know an Enneagram type 8 who does Olympic weightlifting because she says it's the only time her mind quiets. I have an Enneagram 2 friend who loves going on walks with other people. That way she gets social time while completing her stress cycle. It's not one size fits all. Burnout and the prevention of it looks different for each Enneagram type, which is why it's important for you to know what burnout looks like for your type. And you can see that in this next video.